Issues in advertising in the UAE. I'm just going to focus on the things that we're seeing in practice. What we generally have at the moment is the same laws that we've always had. But what we're seeing in the UAE, as is common across the Middle East, is that there's a different focus. So what we'll have is a law that was applied in a certain way 12 months ago will possibly be looked at differently by the regulators today. We are seeing a continuing focus on cybercrimes. The cybercrimes law is a very big issue for us in the UAE because it is actually quite broad and can cover some issues that you may not necessarily understand. We've had two big actions that have come through, an online defamation case. Defamation is a crime in our jurisdiction. There was a lady who took a photograph from her window of a car that was parked in a disabled car park. It was posted on Facebook in a community forum, and the person who owned the car, she had actually blacked out the number plate. The person who owned the car made a complaint with the police, and the lady who posted it was jailed, fined and deported. So that's obviously a very strict interpretation of our cybercrimes law. It did get a lot of press and a lot of publicity. A subsequent case where we had an unlicensed charitable... It's my time. No. We had an unlicensed charitable, a guy was asking for donations for Syrian refugees. They did prosecute him and then they dropped the case. I think that was because of the political backlash. We have government interest in the influencer sphere, which we are finding very interesting. The issue we've got is this is our only law that we've got in relation to the separation between editorial content and advertising content. That's it, that one sentence there. So what we're seeing is if the government is now taking an interest in this space, we know they're trying to do it so they can control it. We are expecting that there will be some form of regulation that will come out. Other issues we've got, increased activity in the regulation of medical devices and medical services. The government's taking much more interest in the way that they're advertised and the manner in which they're advertised. So anyone that's operating in that sphere really has to be much, much more compliant than they have been in the past, particularly online, where that's where the government is looking at the moment. We have some issues with trade promotions in the region. One of my favourite ones was a couple of weeks ago where we went into one of my GCC countries with a beautiful promotion for a trip to see a football game in Spain, and the guys behind the desk said, no, you can't do that, and we said, we have checked the regulations, everything is fine, but they said, no, we don't want you to give away that trip, we'd like you to give away a television, please. And the client said, no, we'd really like to give away the trip, and the authority said, no, you have to give away a television. So we're giving away a television. So what we're finding is that these somewhat arbitrary decisions are being made. It's very hard to advise clients about what will or won't happen. Hopefully everything will settle down again at some point. Data and privacy are not comprehensively addressed within our jurisdictions at this point. It's been in discussion for a couple of years. We have a couple of jurisdictions we have our free zones that do have data protection, but they're only within the free zones and applicable to companies that are set up there, which is very, very few of any of the consumer services. Finally, ongoing issues with compliance with the laws. I was going to talk to you a little bit about self-censorship and blocking of content, because what happens is, and I'm just going to show this very, very quickly, this law, which is our National Media Council resolution, talks all about, respecting the religion and da-da-da. Then we have another law here which talks about exactly the same thing in completely different terminology, which is applicable. That's a different jurisdiction, it's a different authority, it has different penalties. And then if I go to my gorgeous cybercrimes law, once again, it's the same type of content, but it's now a crime. It has, again, it's done in a completely different way. So what we have is 3 or 4 different ways that someone can take action against you. Always causes problems for clients to understand that. I was going to show you a video, but I don't have time. But this is basically what they will say about UAD that Nike did recently. It's a fantastic campaign that came out in the Middle East, and it is exactly the kind of female gender issues that we're talking about globally. Ours is done a little bit differently because it's being pushed by the brands. What it is basically women wearing Nike products, quite tight Nike products, but they're hijab, they're full cover, very conservative, but nonetheless athletic wear. What happened out of this was a very big social campaign then turned into this. And I've just put up a couple of the representative kind of issues that came out of this. People who were saying, this is about empowerment of Middle Eastern women. A lot of people were talking about this actually being, unfair to try and westernize Arab women. Some women saying this is not what women are. I am a Muslim woman. I would never run on the street. That is completely not appropriate. So this is the big discussion that's going on with us at the moment, is representation of women. Thank you.